Excellencies, distinguished delegates, colleagues, welcome to the second high-level Cooling Ministerial Roundtable here in Belém. It's a pleasure to open this session as Brazil hosts COP30. It's my privilege to welcome you all to COP30 here in Belém, in the heart of the Amazon, a place that embodies both the urgency and the promise of our climate efforts. When we met the first annual ministerial for the Global Cooling Pledge last year in Baku, we agreed on a common goal, to move from national commitments to implementation. And today, we gather to deliver on that promise. So now it's my honor to invite Alice from the Brazilian COP Presidency to deliver an opening remark and formally inaugurate the Ministerial Roundtable. Alice, please.
Thank you, Adalberto. Good afternoon, Your Excellencies, ministers, friends. I think no one here has a doubt that there is a better place to understand how to deal with extreme heat and heat waves than in the Amazon. Across the world, heat waves are now the deadliest climate risk, responsible for more lives lost each year than any other extreme weather event. It is what millions are living through today. That is why our work on resilience and cooling matters so deeply. That's why we are here as the COP presidency, always saying and reinforcing that this COP should be an implementation COP and should be an adaptation and resilience COP. And it is why the momentum we have built together over the recent COPs feels both necessary and overdue. Over the past years, cooling has moved from the margins of climate discussions to the center. At COP28, under the leadership of the UAE presidency, who is co-hosting today, with the support of the Cool Coalition, the launch of the Global Cooling Pledge marked a genuine turning point. At COP29 in Baku, countries reinforced the commitment, and Brazil was honored to take the role of co-chair. Since then, something important has happened. With support from the Cool Coalition and many of you, the different partners, parties and non-party stakeholders, the conversation on cooling has grown broader, more concrete, and more people-centered. We have moved from scattered initiatives to a shared agenda, from technical debates to real solutions that affect daily life. For Brazil, COP30 is meant to build on this shift. Ooh, and adapting. Wow, you can still hear me. And we see it as an action COP, a moment to turn collective ambition into practical steps. That's why Beat the Heat is at the heart of the COP30 presidency. Beat the Heat draws from the lessons of recent COPs. We are not reinventing the wheel. We are not starting something new from scratch. We are building on what we have collectively been learning together and building together, including the way cities, buildings, and adaptation have become more visible and better integrated into the global cooperation. It creates a pathway for countries to move from high-level ambition to practical implementation, focusing especially on passive solutions, better design, and locally led action. This is the legacy we want COP30 to set in motion, a shift towards solutions that work for people on the ground. Today's ministerial is part of that direction of travel. It is also an opportunity to mark the Belém Communiqué on extreme heat, which sends an important signal to private sector, public sector, to all communities, to all constituencies. It shows that countries understand the urgency of protecting those most affected and are prepared to work together on practical, affordable measures. In the year ahead, our aim is simple: to make cooling solutions more accessible, more visible, and more firmly integrated into national and local action. If we succeed, This will be one of the lasting contributions of COP30, of this community, with the help of you all here. Thank you for your commitment, for your engagement, for your ideas, and for the leadership you continue to show in your countries, in your regions, and in your communities. Thank you.
Thank you, Alice. With that, it's my pleasure to invite Her Excellency, Dr. Amna bin Abdullah Al Dadak, Minister of Climate Change and Environment of the United Arab Emirates, to deliver her welcome remarks as the co-chair and long-standing partner in driving the Global Cooling Pledge.
Thank you, Excellency, and thank you for the warm welcome, and to all distinguished delegates that are here. It's our pleasure to join here in Belém under the leadership of the COP30 Presidency and alongside my esteemed co-chair, and to mark the second annual Ministerial Roundtable on the Global Cooling Pledge. Our meeting today symbolizes the bridge of climate leadership between COP28 and COP30, and your commitment to the pledge's implementation. I extend also my sincere appreciation to the COP30 Presidency and the government of Brazil for their leadership, for placing sustainable cooling high on their agenda. Just 2 years ago, in Dubai, at COP28, we launched this pledge as the first collective commitment to expanding access to sustainable cooling while reducing greenhouse gas emissions. And today, the pledge endorsed by 72 countries and 80 non-state actors. I also extend our sincere thanks to the focal points who convened in Bonn, Germany in June 25. Co-hosted by Germany, Italy, and the UAE, that meeting provided the technical groundwork to refine the IGCC terms of reference and shape the details of the Beat the Heat initiative, which we congratulate the presidency on launching as well. Last, at COP29, the Ministerial Roundtable welcomed the proposal to establish the IGCC, which will be formally adopted. Also, the 2030 implementation strategy adopted at last COP is now being operationalized. Central to this is the EPIC facility, enabling pledge implementation for cooling, which will serve as the key financial and technical mechanism to support countries in delivering their commitments. Achieving the pledge's targets requires a combined Paris-aligned strategy of passive cooling, low energy and solar-powered options, enhanced energy efficiency, and the rapid phase-down of high GWP refrigerants that goes beyond the Kigali Amendment to the Montreal Protocol. Today, we also welcome the Global Cooling Watch Report 2025 that provides the basis for the pledge, the Sustainable Cooling Pathway, the Belém Communiqué on extreme heat. Extreme heat is intensifying, and as the COP30 presidency just mentioned, there is no better place to address this as well. And without intervention, the share of the population exposed to deadly heat stress could rise from 30% today to between 48% and 76% by the end of the century. The Global Cooling Pledge provides a roadmap to tackle this challenge, a challenge that continues to grow with the continuous heat surges around the world. As I stressed last year, by working together, we can collectively reduce emissions by nearly 78 billion tons by 2050. The UAE has integrated sustainable cooling into its nationally determined contributions. We are currently developing our national cooling action plan, focusing on passive cooling, leveraging innovation, design, and nature-based solutions. By integrating sustainable cooling strategies into our national frameworks, we ensure that they contribute directly to our climate targets, energy efficiency goals, and socio-economic development objectives. Sustainable cooling is the need of the hour. we need to act now, and we need to act together. Thank you.
Thank you, Excellency, for UAE's continued leadership from the launch of the Global Cooling Pledge at COP28 in Dubai to its growing implementation today. Brazil is also proud to co-host the Global Cooling Pledge with our partner, the UAE, and with the support of the Secretariat hosted by UNEP-led Cool Coalition, reflected our shared belief that climate leadership is strongest when it's all collective. And for Brazil, hosting COP30 in Belém means placing people, nature, and effective climate solutions at the very center of the global agenda. Sustainable cooling captures this perfectly. It's a win-win for both mitigation and the life-saving heat adaptation our citizens and economies urgently need. I want to thank you all, this coalition of the willing on extreme heat and cooling, for coming together at this crucial momentum. Brazil has placed extreme heat at the core of this COP because it's now the most lethal climate challenge we face. In Brazil, heat waves were the leading cause of climate-related school closures last year. And in 2025, the Amazon record temperatures in some months of the year, there were 5 degrees above the historical average. This is why today's gathering is so important. And as co-chairs of the Global Cooling Pledge, we have built this coalition of 72 champion countries leading the sustainable cooling pathway, which can cut emissions while providing access to protection from the rising heat. And together with UNEP-led Cool Coalition and through our Green Resilient Cities program, we have already managed to engage more than 80 Brazilian cities, almost 200 cities globally, and 70 partners and stakeholders to deliver practical action: green roofs and corridors, cooler schools, climate refugee, and stronger health system. This is the Mutirão spirit: collective efforts, shared responsibilities, and coordinated delivery, from global to national to local. At this ministerial round, we all seek to deliver tangible progress. So today, we take important steps forward from operationalization of the Enabling Pledge implementation for cooling, EPIC, to establishment of the Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling so that every country can participate in the governance and implementation. And importantly, the adoption of the Belém Communiqué in extreme heat, our shared goal to act to protect lives, to close the cooling gap, to integrate mitigation and adaptation, and ensure that every step we take from here brings us together to a more just, climate-resilient world and accelerate the pledge implementation. Together, we can make Belém a symbol of that coordination. Inclusive, science-driven climate action that can truly achieve. We can now into a short segment of the announcements under the Global Cooling Pledge to advance implementation. So it's my pleasure to invite Her Excellency Minister Grace Fu, Minister Sustainability and Environment of Singapore.
Thank you very much, Your Excellency. Singapore is pleased to join fellow signatories in affirming our strong commitment to the Global Cooling Pledge. We commend the leadership of the COP30 and COP28 presidencies and UNEP's Cool Coalition Secretariat for advancing this vital agenda, including the formal adoption of the Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling and publication of the 2025 Global Cooling Watch report. Singapore supports the adoption of the Belém Communiqué on extreme heat, which renews our shared commitment to protect those most affected. Singapore has made progress on our targets under the Global Cooling Pledge and Beat the Heat. Heat action plans. We have put in place a science-based and proactive heat resilience strategy. Using modeling and simulation, we map local heat risks and assess the effectiveness of various cooling solutions to guide our heat resilience plans. Passive cooling. As part of Singapore's Green Plan 2030, we target to have 1, 200 hectares of sky-rise greenery, 2, at least 170,000 more trees in industrial areas, and 3, every household within a 10-minute walk from a park. New developments are required to compensate for greenery lost to construction. We're deploying cool coatings to all public housing estates by 2030 and optimize shade and wind flow through urban planning guidelines. Public procurement. As part of our GreenGov.sg plan, we require all public sector buildings undergoing major retrofitting to achieve at least a 60% energy efficiency improvement. All new buildings funded by the government will have to meet platinum standard. Protecting the vulnerable. We have developed heat stress guidelines for sectors such as outdoor workers and are studying the impacts of heat on human health, in particular the high-risk vulnerable groups. There is still much to be done. The Beat the Heat implementation drive affirms the need to accelerate, and Singapore is glad to be part of it. We welcome the operationalization of EPIC as a one-stop implementation platform. We stand ready to share our experience in improving energy efficiency for buildings and cooling equipment, driving energy-efficient cooling solutions, and advancing the phase-down of HFCs. To contribute to the advancement of the Global Cooling Pledge and Beat the Heat, Singapore will host the Global Cooling Pledge Focal Points meeting, as well as share our expertise in urban heat assessments and simulation of cooling solutions through a digital model we developed jointly with ETH Zurich, known as the Digital Urban Climate Twin, or DUCT for short. We will support capacity building for cities by organizing training workshops in areas such as passive and nature-based cooling and energy efficiency standards for cooling technologies. We invite countries and cities to participate and look forward to forging new partnerships and collaborations that will bring us closer to our shared goals. Thank you very much, Excellency.
Thank you, Excellency Grace Fu, for Singapore's leadership to host the Global Cooling Pledge Focal Point meeting with 72 countries and a week-long training to support the pledge's implementation through Beat the Heat. I invite other countries to join Singapore in hosting the focal point meetings to make it a multilateral effort, as we had this year between Germany, UAE, and Italy. So now it's my pleasure to welcome from the Italian Minister of Environment and Energy Security, Director General, Mrs. Stefania Crota.
Excellencies, colleagues, friends, it's a great pleasure to be here in Belém to take part in the second ministerial meeting dedicated to the Global Alliance for Sustainable Cooling. I would like to thank the government of Brazil for its warm hospitality and the COP30 Presidency for bringing back to the center of the climate agenda an issue as concrete as it is urgent. Over the past 2 years, thanks to the joint efforts of many countries and the United Nations Environment Programme, we have made significant progress. Italy joined the alliance during the Dubai conference, and during our G7 presidency in Turin, we helped make it a key priority on the international agenda. Today, however, we want to take a further step, moving from declaration to results and from commitments to concrete projects. That is why we are officially announcing the operational launch of EPIC, the program led by Italy together with the United Nations Environment Programme, which will give concrete effect to the commitment of the Global Alliance for Sustainable Cooling. EPIC has a clear purpose: to turn words into action, delivering measurable benefits first and foremost for people. The first phase will consist of a technical and economic assessment in several priority countries, identified among the signatories of the Alliance and the partners of the Mattei Plan, to define needs, solutions, and investment opportunities. Subsequently, open calls will be launched to implement pilot projects on sustainable cooling solutions, centralized air conditioning systems, cold chains import and agri-food districts, an efficient installation for schools, hospitals, and public buildings. The goal is clear: to safeguard health and the right to learning, to support productivity, to reduce food waste, and to make our community more resilient in the face of climate change. Italy is ready, ready not only to make promises, but to build partnerships, and ready not only to commit, but to invest, to innovate, and to act. Thank you.
Thank you, Mrs. Stefania, and let's applaud Italian's strong leadership in driving EPIC deployment as an implementation arm of the Global Cooling Pledge, allowing us to move from plans and policies to technology deployment at scale, and invite other countries to show similar boldness in supporting the EPIC facility. Excellencies, with this, it's my honor to hand over to Mr. Martin Cross, Director of Climate Change Division at United Nations Environmental Program. Mr. Cross, we thank you for the long-standing and tireless leadership to continue to impress us by raising global ambition on cooling and heat resiliency, first as the delivery partner of the Global Cooling Pledge, and now it's Beat the Heat implementation drive. It's incredible to see how much UNEP has achieved to move the needs in such a short time, and its unique role to bring together countries and cities to act and implement. The floor is yours to deliver your remarks, to open and moderate the Ministerial Roundtable discussion. Martin.
Thank you very much, Adalberto. Excellencies, distinguished co-chairs, my thanks goes to the COP30 Presidency for convening this ministerial meeting. Extreme heat is becoming one of the defining development and climate challenges of our time. Sustainable cooling must be treated as essential infrastructure alongside water, energy, and sanitation. The Global Cooling Pledge offers the strongest collective response to take on this challenge. Today, 72 signatories to the pledge are committed to follow the sustainable cooling pathway as defined by the Global Cooling Watch report. This pathway leans on passive, nature-based cooling, on low energy and hybrid cooling like fans combined with air conditioning systems, and also on energy efficiency. This pathway would cut expected sectoral emissions by 64% by 2050, and when paired with grid decarbonization, cooling emissions could fall to near zero. At the same time, this pathway would provide access to space cooling, refrigeration, resilient buildings, and urban green spaces for 3 billion people, and would result in up to $43 trillion in electricity and infrastructure savings. This is what is needed to protect people and economies from extreme heat. And this commitment that we have all made is already visible. We have now 50 pledge signatories that include cooling in their NDCs, and this number is up from 37 last year. We have 25 national cooling action plans that have been published, with many more underway. We now see 53 minimum energy performance standards for air conditioners and 49 standards for refrigerators. The Kigali Amendment is now almost universal, with 99% of pledge signatories having it ratified. Excellencies, colleagues, the pledge has set out our political roadmap. Our task now is implementation. Today's roundtable, that actually, if you look around, is a square table, I believe, is our annual accountability moment. Here in Belém, we open a new chapter by, first, adopting the Intergovernmental Committee on Sustainable Cooling. Second, we are endorsing the Belém Communiqué on extreme heat. And third, we are driving implementation through the COP30 flagship Beat the Heat initiative. The UNEP-led Cool Coalition, through its Enabling Pledge for Implementation, which is also called EPIC, and we have heard that acronym in the previous speeches already. That facility stands now ready to support countries in moving from targets to policies, from policies to technologies, and to implementation and to finance. Excellencies, friends, colleagues, the commitment you will make today will shape the next phase of the implementation of the Cooling Pledge. Now, with that, I would like, as a moderator, to invite delegations that would like to speak to raise their placards. And as a courtesy, and out of respect to your fellow ministers and ambassadors, I would like to ask you to limit your statements to 2 to 3 minutes. We are already over time because we started a little bit late, and we have another 50 minutes now left for this session. The floor is open for your statements. Okay. And then, okay. So I have Nigeria first on the list now, and after Nigeria, the floor goes to Madagascar. Nigeria, the floor is yours.
Thank you. Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is a privilege to speak at this Global Cooling Pledge Ministerial Roundtable at COP30, hosted by the COP30 Presidency and the UNEP Cool Coalition. I extend Nigeria's appreciation to all partners working tirelessly to place sustainable cooling at the heart of global climate action. Nigeria is proud to be among the founding signatories to the Global Cooling Pledge recent assessments. Recent assessments show that severe heat stress, particularly in the northern region of the country, now occurs for up to 340 days per year. These rising temperatures pose an existential risk to millions, particularly farmers, livestockers, informal workers, women, children, and other vulnerable groups who are disproportionately exposed to extreme heat. From public health and food safety, food security, to power systems and industrial productivity, cooling is intertwined with the well-being of our citizens and the functionality of our economy. Recognizing this challenge, Nigeria is acting decisively through the roadmap and policy momentum provided by the Global Cooling Pledge, enabling us to embed the pledge targets within our NDC 3.0, implement our National Cooling Action Plan, adopt minimum energy performance standards for cooling equipment, which further help limit energy use and support the phase down of the high GWP refrigerants, and lay the groundwork for expanding local action through Beat the Heat. We are proud to announce that 15 Nigerian cities have joined the Beat the Heat implementation drive, including the largest one, the economic capital, that is Lagos. These efforts are strengthening resilience at home, safeguarding our people, strengthening our economy, and contributing significantly to global emission reduction efforts through efficient, equitable, and climate-friendly cooling. The need for sealed-up finance and support. Despite this progress, Nigeria needs expanded financial support, technology transfer, and concessional financing to accelerate transitions already underway. Beyond national systems, targeted mechanisms such as EPIC help to ensure that One, off-grid and low-income households can access efficient cooling systems. Farmers benefit from renewable power cold chain infrastructure to reduce post-harvest losses. Health facilities, especially in rural areas, are equipped to preserve vaccines, drugs, and other essential medicaments. Women and children in heat-exposed communities receive tailored support. Micro, small, and medium enterprises adopt energy-efficient cooling and refrigeration. In conclusion, as we convene here at COP30, Nigeria reaffirms its unwavering dedication to the Global Cooling Pledge and to the full implementation of the Kigali Amendment. We stand ready to deepen our partnerships, scale innovative solutions, and champion an inclusive agenda that ensures that no one is left behind in the transition to sustainable cooling. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Nigeria. I give the floor to Madagascar, followed by Nepal.
Excellences, chers collègues, c'est un grand plaisir pour moi de prendre la parole de cette réunion mondiale et de réunir ici devant la réunion ministérielle sur l'engagement mondial pour le refroidissement. Madagascar adhère à l'engagement mondial pour le refroidissement en tant que pays confronté aux dures réalités du réchauffement climatique. Les vagues de chaleur sont de plus en plus fréquentes et intenses, mettant à rude épreuve les communautés vulnérables, déjà confrontées à des pénuries d'eau et menaçant la sécurité alimentaire. Nos hôpitaux peinent à assurer la sécurité des patients lorsque les médicaments et les vaccins nécessitent une réfrigération fiable. Dans nos régions agricoles, le manque d'infrastructures et de chaînes du froid entraîne d'énormes pertes après récolte, compromettant la sécurité alimentaire et les moyens de subsistance ruraux. En tant que pays les moins avancés, nous rencontrons de sérieuses difficultés pour étendre l'accès à des systèmes de réfrigération efficaces. Les centres de santé ruraux manquent souvent de systèmes de réfrigération fiables pour les médicaments. Les petits exploitants agricoles ne peuvent ni stocker, ni transporter leurs récoltes périssables, ce qui entraîne des pertes après récolte et pouvant atteindre jusqu'à 40% dans certaines régions. Lors des vagues de chaleur extrêmes, de nombreux foyers n'ont aucun moyen de protéger les personnes âgées, les nourrissons ou les femmes enceintes des températures potentiellement mortelles. À Madagascar, l'accès à un refroidissement durable n'est pas un luxe, mais c'est une question de santé publique, de survie économique et de dignité humaine. L'engagement mondial pour le refroidissement offre une voie essentielle pour remédier à ces vulnérabilités grâce à la technologie, au financement et à l'innovation, garantissant ainsi que le droit à un refroidissement sûr et durable soit reconnu comme un pilier de la justice climatique. Madagascar est fier de rejoindre cet engagement afin de renforcer la résilience et le bien-être de ces communautés et de contribuer à l'ambition mondiale. Le développement du refroidissement durable permettra de réduire les émissions du secteur de fluides frigorigènes, d'améliorer l'efficacité énergétique et de diminuer significativement les polluants climatiques à courte durée de vie. Il s'agit là d'un des domaines d'action climatique les plus clairement gagnants à tous les niveaux, des bénéfices pour l'atmosphère tout en améliorant la santé humaine, les systèmes alimentaires et les perspectives économiques. Mais l'ambition doit s'accompagner d'équité. Nous devons veiller à ce que les conditions de refroidissement bénéficient en priorité aux plus vulnérables. Madagascar est prête à collaborer avec tous les parties prenantes présents aujourd'hui pour concrétiser l'engagement et mettant en œuvre des stratégies de refroidissement et des plans d'action concrètes, compatibles avec le développement durable. Dans un esprit de responsabilité partagée, Madagascar appelle à un agenda mondial du refroidissement qui profite aux populations de la planète. Nous sommes déterminés à y contribuer et nous nous réjouissons de travailler avec vous tous pour faire du refroidissement durable un levier universel de santé, de résilience et de stabilité climatique. Je vous remercie de votre aimable attention. Merci.
I thank His Excellency Minister from Madagascar, and I welcome you as a new signatory to the Cooling Pledge. Now I give the floor to Nepal, followed by Cambodia.
Thank you. Excellencies, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, I'm speaking here on behalf of Nepal, Nepali people, and the government of Nepal. Nepal is advancing the global cooling pledge through energy-efficient technology development and defining resilient infrastructure targets. Our NDC focuses on clean energy, hydropower, solar, and promoting electric vehicles, EVs. Our National Adaptation Plan frames climate resilience as a core national priority. NAP explicitly identifies upgrading and promoting climate-resilient building designs, codes, practices, and construction technologies, and national capacity building for implementation as one of the program area under urban and rural settlement. In our opinion, the Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling needs to focus on prioritizing adaptation and resilience with securing access to sustainable, affordable cooling for the most vulnerable. Most sustainable and low-cost cooling is passive cooling through better building codes, urban planning, green spaces, and traditional architecture. We should unlock predictable grant-based financing and accelerate the transfer of super-efficient off-grid and solar-powered cooling technologies suitable for remote and vulnerable communities. We believe the implementation mechanism like efficient and climate-friendly cooling programs can work together through aligning climate finance to include a specific, easily accessible Windows cooling action plan for implementation, integrating cooling strategies into the local adaptation plans of actions, LAPAs, unlocking the window for private section and capacity development for all stakeholders. We should use science-based indicators to anchor global cooling place targets and track global heat and cooling trends consistently. We should adopt the Global Cooling Watch 2025 pathway as the technical roadmap for efficiency, refrigerants, and sustainable cooling access. We should integrate Belém's extreme heat and health frameworks so cooling plans also deliver health-based protection, urban resilience, and equity, and strengthen accountability and finance through clear milestone, independent reviews, and investment tied to verified cooling and health outcomes. Thank you very much.
Thank you. Thank you, His Excellency, Minister from Nepal, and I give the floor to Cambodia, followed by Ghana.
Excellency Chairs, Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen, it is my pleasure to join you at this high-level Cooling Ministerial Roundtable on delivering on the Global Cooling Pledge. Cambodia has adopted a comprehensive national cooling action plan addressing cooling needs across buildings, the food cold chain, and health facilities. A fundamental pillar of our NCAP is passing cooling strategies to reduce heat and cooling demand by design before relying on mechanical systems. Since 2023, the Ministry of Environment has led a vital project in partnership with UNEP, UNESCAP, and others to translate this ambition into practical tools for our hot, humid climate. This work has produced a compendium of passive cooling strategies and new national passive cooling design guidelines with 3 key levels. 1, site level, utilizing trees, shade, water features, and cool pavements to mitigate the urban heat island effect. 2, building level, optimizing orientation, form, external shading, and maximizing natural and cross ventilations. And 3, component level, specifying reflective and insulated roof, efficient windows, and optimized envelope design. Our NCAP and guidelines provide clear, bankable signals to banks and investors. Aligning with the pentagonal and circular strategies, we are working to develop incentives, integrate passive cooling into green building criteria, and prepare project pipelines suitable for emerging facilities under the Global Cooling Pledge, such as EPIC. In Cambodia, passive cooling is already protecting communities during heat wave, easing the pressure on our power system, and avoiding the locked-in of insufficient demand. We are ready to share our tools and lessons to welcome deeper technical and financial partnerships to accelerate passive cooling across ASEAN and globally. I thank you.
Thank you very much, His Excellency from Cambodia. I will now give the floor to Ghana, followed by Burkina Faso. But let me again please say that as your moderator and facilitator for this session here, it is my job to make sure that all those who want to speak have a chance to speak. So please help me to do my job by limiting your statements to 2, maximum 3 minutes. Thank you very much. The floor is with Ghana.
Excellencies, co-chairs, Minister Silva and Minister Amna, distinguished delegates. Ghana expresses its sincere appreciation to the COP30 and COP28 presidencies, Brazil and the United Arab Emirates, and the UNEP Cool Coalition Secretariat for their leadership in advancing the Global Cooling Pledge from ambition to action. Excellencies, the world is getting hotter. In Ghana, peak temperatures above 35 degrees Celsius now occur 13% more frequently each year. Rapid urbanization, with nearly 59% of our population living in urban areas, is intensifying heat exposure and its impacts on health, food systems, and productivity. Sustainable cooling is therefore one of the clearest combined mitigation and adaptation opportunities. It saves lives, reduces energy demand, cuts emissions, and supports resilient, low-carbon development. Ghana has already established a strong foundation through its NDCs and National Cooling Action Plan. These have enabled a holistic approach to green cooling, including a transition to low GWP refrigerants, work under the Montreal Protocol to address the dumping of used equipment in Africa, and the introduction of efficiency standards. We're now working with UNEP to integrate passive cooling measures into our national building code. Through the Beat the Heat initiative, we aim to link national policy to local delivery. Working with the UNEP Cool Coalition and development partners, we will align technical assistance and finance. Our initial focus will be schools, markets, and health centers using practical measures such as shading, natural ventilation, reflective materials, and efficient equipment to provide immediate relief in the hottest areas. To scale this work, Ghana needs strong partnerships and access to proven technologies that can demonstrate solutions, transform markets, and inform policy. This is why EPIC Deploy is so important. With Italy's leadership, EPIC Deploy will enable Ghana to expand innovative solutions such as renewable-powered cold chain systems and central cooling in schools and hospitals, helping us advance our NCAP targets and strengthen our contribution to the Global Cooling Pledge. Ghana is proud to have been a founding signatory of the pledge at COP28. We have already deployed efficient cooling technologies through an innovative on-wage financing scheme for eco-fridges, and we look forward to replicating similar approaches through EPIC to support wider technology development. Ghana remains fully committed to coordinated and equitable action that protects communities and strengthens resilience. We therefore welcome the adoption of the IGCC, the Global Cooling Watch Report 2025, and the Belém Communiqué, which together provide the governance and frameworks needed to ensure effective collective delivery of the Global Cooling Pledge. Thank you.
I thank His Excellency Minister from Ghana, and I give the floor now to Burkina Faso, followed by Zimbabwe.
Merci beaucoup. C'est un honneur pour moi de prendre la parole à ce dialogue ministériel consacré à la mise en œuvre de l'engagement mondial pour le refroidissement. Le Burkina Faso salue cette initiative majeure qui incarne une réponse collective et ambitieuse face à la hausse des températures, à la demande croissante en refroidissement et aux défis de durabilité environnementale. Conscient de l'importance du refroidissement durable pour l'adaptation et l'atténuation du changement climatique, le Burkina Faso a entrepris des actions concrètes. Aussi, il réaffirme son engagement au Global Cooling Pledge et sa détermination à contribuer pleinement à son ambition collective. À ce titre, je salue l'adoption du Comité intergouvernemental sur le refroidissement, le rapport Global Cooling Watch 2025 et le communiqué de Belém, qui offre un cadre solide de coopération et de gouvernance pour avancer ensemble dans la mise en œuvre effective du pledge. Mon pays accélère la mise en œuvre de son plan d'implémentation de Kigali, intègre le refroidissement durable dans sa CDN 3.0 et renforce ses politiques d'efficacité énergétique pour s'aligner sur l'objectif de réduire de 68% l'impact climatique du secteur d'ici 2050. Pour ce faire, le Burkina Faso a intensifié ses programmes nationaux, notamment le programme national sur l'efficacité énergétique dans les bâtiments et équipements. À cet effet, une stratégie des achats durables fixe les spécifications techniques standards des équipements de climatisation objets de marché public. Aussi, des initiatives pilotes d'achat public verts d'équipements à haute efficacité et à faible potentiel de réchauffement global ont été lancées. Des normes minimales de performance énergétique ainsi qu'une réglementation sur l'étiquetage sont en cours d'élaboration pour les climatiseurs et les réfrigérants. Également, dans les mois à venir, grâce au mécanisme d'appui EPIC Solutions, mon pays élaborera son plan d'action national sur le refroidissement, instrument clé d'opérationnalisation du Global Cooling Pledge. Dans cette optique et pour soutenir l'atteinte des objectifs de l'engagement mondial pour le refroidissement, une ville sera désignée pour mettre en œuvre l'initiative Beat the Heat. Le gouvernement soutient aussi la modernisation du cadre réglementaire, la promotion des technologies sobres en carbone et la création d'emplois verts dans la chaîne du froid, notamment dans les secteurs dans les services de santé, la conservation alimentaire et l'agro-industrie. En additif, les plantations d'alignement et l'aménagement paysager d'espaces verts en cours dans les villes contribuent à casser la chaleur. Toutes ces mesures vont contribuer à l'atteinte de l'objectif de la stratégie bas carbone à l'horizon 2050 du pays. La force du Burkina Faso pour le refroidissement reste la volonté politique, l'adhésion et l'engagement des parties prenantes, à savoir le gouvernement, le secteur privé et la société civile. Pour terminer, le Burkina Faso adresse ses remerciements au PNUE en tant que hôte de la Cool Coalition pour son soutien dans la mise en œuvre globale du Cooling Pledge ainsi que pour la création d'un espace propice à la coopération multilatérale sur ce sujet. Je vous remercie.
I thank His Excellency Minister from Burkina Faso, and I give the floor to Zimbabwe, followed by Somalia.
Thank you, Your Excellencies. It is with great pleasure to contribute to the COP30 high-level Cooling Ministerial Roundtable today. As a signatory to the Global Cooling Pledge and the Cool Coalition, Zimbabwe remains committed to promoting sustainable and climate-friendly cooling solutions, improving air quality through impactful national actions. Our commitments are reflected in our national determined commitment, country statement, and our national blueprint, the National Development Strategy. We embrace the need to adapt to the changes in climate due to global warming, addressing a unique challenge of extreme heat, which is impacting human health, lifestyle, agriculture, as an agriculture country, and the economy at large. Your Excellency, Zimbabwe, with leadership from the Ministry of Energy and Power Development, is improving energy efficiency across all sectors, including the implementation of the minimum energy performance standards. We are also advancing the phase down and ultimately the phasing out of the high global warming potential hydrofluorocarbons, strengthening life cycle management and destruction of unwanted HFCs, and leading research on evaporative cooling highlighted in UNEP 2025 Global Cooling Watch. Zimbabwe appreciates the implementation support and knowledge exchange facilitated by UNEP Cooling Coalition Secretariat. We welcome the decision at COP29 to establish the Intergovernmental Committee on Sustainable Cooling and support its formal adoption here at Belém to continue driving forward implementation together. On this one, I thank Her Excellency Fru of Singapore for hosting the next focal point meeting and Italy for support in deploying sustainable cooling technologies. Ladies and gentlemen, allow me to also announce that Zimbabwe has initiated a national process to develop its first national cooling action plan with technical support from the UNEP-led Cool Coalition. The plan will provide a strategic framework to strengthen our policies, improve coordination across sectors from energy, agriculture to health, and accelerate the transition towards sustainable cooling solutions. As a committed member of the Global Cooling Pledge, Zimbabwe fully supports its objectives and those of the Belém Communiqué to address extreme heat and protect the vulnerable through sustainable and affordable cooling solutions. I thank you, sir.
I thank Her Excellency Minister from Zimbabwe. I give the floor now to Somalia, followed by Japan.
Excellencies, co-chairs, distinguished guests, delegates. Somalia is grateful for the support and leadership provided by COP30 and COP28 presidencies and UNEP's Cool Coalition in implementing the Global Cooling Pledge. We are pleased to see the progress made through the adoption of key instruments such as the Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling and the Global Cooling Watch Report 2025. As a nation,
we are dedicated to integrating sustainable cooling practices in our development strategies, as evidenced by our commitment to include it in our NDC 3.0 and the ongoing development of a national cooling action plan with assistance of EPIC Solutions and UNEP. In our efforts to promote sustainable cooling, we are placing a particular emphasis on passive cooling methods. We're excited to collaborate with Switzerland on Be Cool Somalia project, which is designed to alleviate heat stress, reduce energy consumption, and enhance living conditions for vulnerable communities. This initiative underscores our commitment to addressing the challenges posed by climate change and improving the well-being of our citizens. Excellencies, we recognize the importance of partnerships in advancing sustainable cooling initiatives, and we value the collaboration with Switzerland and other stakeholders in this endeavor. By working together, we can achieve our shared goals and create a more sustainable and resilient future for our people. I thank you very much.
I thank you, His Excellency Minister from Somalia, and I thank you double because you stayed under 3 minutes. Now we move on, and I give the floor to Japan, followed by Peru.
Thank you very much. Today, I would like to introduce some of our best sustainable cooling practices. First, Japan has long been introducing inverters and advanced technologies in Brazil, India, and the other countries around the world to improve the energy efficiency of cooling equipment, and we have done so by implementing a combination of regulation and support. At our Japan pavilion, Daikin Industries is displaying its integrated system of air conditioning and energy recovery ventilation, and your visit to the pavilion is most welcome. Japan is also expanding technical support overseas. Let me provide certain progress and achievements. As we presented last year, JICA and Daikin conducted a demonstration test to promote the use of high-efficiency inverter air conditioners in Nigeria, and the result showed the potential to reduce energy consumption by 40 to 48% and GHG emissions by 42 to 49%. Second, at the Japanese pavilion, Space Cool is displayed in its radioactive cooling material that lowers surface temperature without using electricity by combining the reflection and radiation. The material was recently applied in a tennis court tent at the Emirates Palace Mandarin Hotel in Abu Dhabi, realizing a comfortable outdoor sports facility without using air conditioning. This technology is also expected to help prevent temperature increasing during transport and contribute to reducing food waste. In closing, Japan is all ready to contribute to the global cooling pledge by making our utmost efforts in spreading our successful experiences. I'm looking forward to seeing you at the Japan Pavilion. Thank you very much.
I thank His Excellency Vice Minister from Japan and give the floor now to Peru, followed by the UK.
Good evening, everybody. Thank you very much. Peru has advanced by formally integrating cooling action into the Central Climate Plan NDC 3.0, an important step for planning effective implementation in the coming years. Peruvian NDC 3.0 has established a concrete mitigation commitment with the industrial process and product use sector to reduce hydrofluorocarbon consumption by 30% by 2035 and project an 80% reduction by 2045. This is quantified commitment based in our ratification of the Kigali Amendment, which demonstrate that cooling is a priority action both for mitigation and for fulfill our international commitments. The key lesson that Peru can offer is that national climate organizations and governments must be driving force of the pledge. The new Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling, whose terms of reference we formally endorse today, shall help in development country signatories translate the HFC reduction target into updated energy efficiency regulations and building codes, ensuring the political ambition into technical standards. Focus on equity, as 78% of signatories are developing countries, the IGCC shall ensure that the central progress metric is equitable access to sustainable cooling and heat resilience for our vulnerable population. Thank you very much.
I thank Her Excellency Vice Minister from Peru, and now I give the floor to the UK, followed by Belgium.
Thank you very much, Chair. The UK strongly supports the Global Cooling Pledge as one of the core partners in the development and implementation of this work. We commend the UAE, Brazil, UNEP in leading the Cool Coalition, both for their leadership and galvanizing more than 70 countries in support of this critical issue. I have pages and pages of things here that the UK is doing on this critical issue, and I won't go through all of those. But just to say that we've supported Manchester, one of our great cities, in understanding how to adapt and particularly how the most vulnerable can be the most resilient. And this acts as a roadmap for other cities in the country. And of course, it is cities around the world that have led in much of the innovation. And often the cooling czars in these cities are women, something that should not be overlooked. We've also pleased to see the case study of Manchester featured in the Global Cooling Watch. We've also initiated more research programs, the Built Environment Adaptation Research Program, which is looking at how to understand cooling in a country where we have a very old built environment, and so that we can adapt to climate change, keep people safe, but also deliver net zero. And through our Ayrton Fund, we're involved in research, development and demonstration for work in emerging markets and developing economies. I also want to just to highlight the connection between what we're discussing here and things that are going on in UK universities, in UK philanthropy, in the UK's private sector, and also in our civil society. I was very pleased at Health Day to see the emphasis that was put on extreme heat there. So we're joining up the data sets between our health service and our early warning, something that we then can export and help other countries to do. We can also look at I think some of the new appropriate technologies which can keep people safe not only in cities and urban areas in the emerging markets and developing economies, also in our cities too. And then finally, I'm really pleased to see that there's more and more research now disaggregated by gender, looking at the specific impacts of women from extreme heat, which are quite different and need to be taken into account, both in terms of work patterns, in terms of physiology, and in terms of their role as mothers. And also pleased to see at this COP the emergence of a stream of research and action related to children and extreme heat. And if we look at what is happening to society and to our economies and to our nature from extreme heat now, and imagine what the world will look like through a child's development, we are bringing forward a new generation of people around the world that are affected and shaped by extreme heat. This must make this an even more urgent issue that we can take to the multi-row and see this reflected in final text. Thank you very much.
I thank Her Excellency Ambassador from the UK, and I give the floor to Belgium, followed by the Maldives.
Thank you very much, Co-Chair, dear Excellencies, ladies and gentlemen. It is my honor to join this Cooling Ministerial Roundtable as a special envoy for Belgium for climate and environment, and I thank the Cool Coalition Secretariat for organizing this meeting and Brazil for hosting us. After a summer of very hot temperatures and record wildfires in Europe this year, cooling our cities has again been brought to public attention in Belgium too. Several communes and cities, and also my own commune near Brussels, now have, for instance, tree planting programs. But the effects of extreme heat are, of course, much more felt elsewhere in the world. The global cooling pledge is vital to addressing heat stress, improving food security, protecting health, and promoting energy-efficient cooling technologies. It aligns climate policies under the UNFCCC with the Kigali Amendment, reinforcing our shared goals. Transitioning to low GWP refrigerants and enhancing energy efficiency are essential steps that can more than double the climate benefits of the HFC phase down. Transparency and peer learning are key, and we welcome UNEP's Global Cooling Watch, which provides data and analysis to guide sustainable solutions, accelerate HFC phase down, and support natural refrigerants and efficient systems. And today's dialogue, building on earlier sessions, sustains momentum and knowledge sharing. And the Beat the Heat initiative exemplifies this effort, fostering national and local coordination. In Belgium, cities like Brussels, which has now just joined the initiative, and Antwerp are already acting, prioritizing energy-efficient buildings and using thermal mapping to combat urban heat islands. At the national level, Belgium's energy and climate plan drives mitigation through ambitious building renovations and renewable energy targets. Our adaptation plan prioritizes protection against extreme heat and heat stress. And as part of the EU, we implement strong frameworks, such as the fluoride gas regulation, which reduces emissions through leak testing, refrigerant recovery, and technician certification, while banning exports of non-compliant technologies. Belgium is committed to supporting parties needing assistance. We actively engage in the multilateral fund discussions on implementing the Kigali Amendment, focusing on energy efficiency. And we are ready to share expertise and encourage best practices across sectors. Together we can deliver on the cooling pledge and strengthen global resilience, and Belgium remains fully committed to its future development and implementation. Thank you very much.
I thank His Excellency Ambassador from Belgium. I give the floor now to the Maldives and after that to Micronesia.
Thank you, Chair, and thank you for providing this opportunity to speak at this esteemed roundtable. Of course, for those of you who know Maldives, we are a small island country and sitting in the Indian Ocean at the very central. And even on our climate records, we have seen that our temperature is rising. And 2024, last year, was one of the warmest years where we recorded the feels-like temperature of 40 degrees. meaning this increase in temperature directly relates to increasing in dependency on cooling with the growing tourism and fisheries industry, the large economic industries, top contributors to the GDP, which needs for sustainable cooling to beat the heat. Rapid construction, accelerated urbanization, and the steady movement of people into the capital are increasing pressure on the infrastructure and the energy systems. This includes using normal ventilation, shading, insulation, orientation of buildings to cool spaces without relying heavily on air conditioning and other cooling methods. Strengthening synergies between policymakers across sectors is essential, as cooling is not just a technical issue in its cross-sectoral. This is where Cool Coalition's technical assistance, knowledge resource, and the EPIC deploy can assist us. One clear takeaway of first focal point meeting from the Global Cooling Pledge held this June was to the critical need of moving beyond pledge to implementation. We need the assistance of the EPIC facility to prepare comprehensive national cooling action plans that reflect the unique realities of our dispersed islands, support its needs to enhance energy efficiency across appliances, buildings, and public infrastructure to reduce our growing cooling demand and ease pressure on our energy systems. Moreover, as an import-dependent country with a strong fisheries sector, sustainable cold chains are vital for food security, health services, and our fisheries sector. We also believe there's strong potential to build a dedicated knowledge-sharing platform for small island developing states in the area of cooling that Cool Coalition can facilitate. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Maldives, and I go to Micronesia and then followed by Togo.
Excellency. Thank you, Chair. I am honored to reaffirm Micronesia's commitment to the Global Cooling Pledge. At this implementation COP, cooling must be treated as a life-saving priority. For island nations facing rising extreme heat, cooling is a matter of health, stability, and survival. Micronesia has long shown what strong action can achieve. We initiated global efforts to reduce HFCs under the Montreal Protocol and helped secure the Kigali Amendment. We continue to face down HFC through our NDC and our National Energy Policy 2024 to 2050 seeks to strengthen energy efficiency, modernize our grid, and expand clean energy, the core of sustainable cooling. But the risks are growing faster than we can respond. Extreme heat is crashing on our islands. Cooling demands is overloading our fragile energy grids. Households already facing high energy costs are under growing pressure, and still, the implementation gaps remain large, and we are not progressing with the urgency that reality demands. One issue requires urgent attention: refrigerant tanks. Left unmanaged, they could emit up to 61 gigatons of CO2 equivalent by 2050. Many vulnerable states do not yet have the capacity to safely recover and destroy these gases. This is not a problem of political will or technology. It is a support gap that could be addressed through scaled-up financing and capacity building. Cooling also brings major opportunities. Countries align their national cooling plans with the global goal of doubling energy efficiency improvements by 2030 can deliver immediate mitigation and adaptation benefits. Cooling is a right and a shield against rising heat. To deliver it, we must rely on the most effective environmental treaty system we have. The Montreal Protocol brings structure, equity, and proven implementation capacity. The UNFCCC sets political direction, but the protocol delivers action. We should use it to do more, not less. Let us strengthen this pledge, expand equitable access to sustainable cooling, close the implementation gaps, and bring refrigerant management into climate action. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Micronesia. The floor now goes to Togo, followed by Tunisia.
Thank you, Chair. Your Excellencies, Honorable Ministers, distinguished guests, Togo would first like to express its sincere gratitude to the presidencies of COP30 and COP28, as well as to the UNEP Cool Coalition for their leadership in promoting and advancing the Global Cooling Pledge. We welcome the formal adoption of the Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling, the Global 2025 Global Cooling Watch Report, the Belém Statement on Extreme Heat, and the operationalization of the EPIC mechanism. Together, these instruments for robust architecture, combining governments, science, and implementation, which will guide our collective actions toward achieving the objective of this pledge. Togo reaffirms its full commitment to the global cooling pledge and places sustainable cooling at the heart of its long-term, low-carbon and climate-resilient development strategy. In this regard, our country has already integrated this issue of cooling into its national determined contribution, including an assessment of emissions related to hydrofluorocarbons. Furthermore, Togo is resolutely committed to implementing the provision of the Montreal Protocol and the Kigali Amendment. As part of this effort, several concrete initiatives have been launched at the national level. These include the creation of bachelor degrees in refrigeration and air conditioning at the University of Lomé, and the organization of training sessions for refrigeration equipment maintenance technicians in collaboration with their professional association. Togo has also launched the Green Cooling Togo project to help reduce emission of fluorinated gases with high global warming potential that drive climate change and to prevent all other forms of soil pollution. We have also conducted a pilot study on the urban heat island effect in 2025. This study, along with the proposed mitigation measure, which will gradually scale up across all cities in the country. In parallel, Togo is promoting the creation of sacred forests, urban forests, and public gardens, and has designated the commune of Hao 1 to receive specific technical assistance from UNEP. Looking ahead, our government plans to soon develop a national action plan dedicated to sustainable cooling. An ambitious program is already under development to build a dynamic circular economy around the management of waste from cooling and air conditioner equipment. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, Togo. We have 7 speakers left. May I ask the remaining speakers to keep their statements short so that we all can go to dinner still tonight. Thank you. Tunisia, you have the floor, and then Iraq.
Thank you, Your Excellency. Co-chairs, distinguished delegates, Tunisia, as the other countries, expresses its deep gratitude to the presidency of COP30 and COP28, Brazil and United Arab Emirates, as well as the UNEP Cool Coalition Secretariat for their leadership in advancing the global cooling pledge. Tunisia welcomes the formal adoption of the Intergovernmental Committee on Cooling, the Global Cooling Watch Report 2025, the Belém Communiqué on extreme heat, as well as the operationalization of EPIC. In partnership with UNEP, Tunisia is developing its national cooling action plan, setting out a structured roadmap to manage the growing demand for cooling in priority sectors. Particular attention is given to cold chains and port infrastructure, where improvement in low-emission technologies, renewable powered storage, and better refrigerant management enhance food security, support export competitiveness, and position Tunisia as a regional model for climate-smart logistics. As a Mediterranean country facing intensifying heat waves, Tunisia fully supports the Belém Communiqué and welcomes the Beat the Heat implementation drive initiative. National effort on urban greening, shedding, and bioclimatic building design demonstrate Tunisia's commitment to people-centered and natural-based cooling solution. Tunisia considers EPIC to be a key lever between planning and implementation, in particular to scale up the NCAP priorities in cold chain and ports. Tunisia stands ready to work closely with all signatory countries through the EGCC and with all partners to advance coordinated, responsible, and high-impact action on sustainable cooling and the implementation of the pledge. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Tunisia. I give the floor to Iraq, followed by Switzerland.
Thank you, Mr. Chair. Really, on behalf of the Iraqi delegation, I would express my thanks and appreciation for inviting Iraq for participating in this important ministerial event. Iraq submitted last week the NDC 3.0, and already we have the clear mitigation plan of the reduction of greenhouse gases and increase the efficiency of the energy sector with aligning with the ozone, our commitment in the ozone conventions. Also, we have the clear action plan about the short life pollutants, SLBS, and the hydrofluorocarbons. Iraq prepared the climate vulnerability index document. This is a document included the clear indicators about the vulnerabilities in Iraq. And each summer in Iraq, we have the increase of the temperature and the heat waves. For that, the Iraqi now have the clear evidence about an increase. This is the difficult because the negative impact of climate change. For that, the Iraqi are very interested about the join with the generally about the cooling pledge principle for the reduction in greenhouse gases, just the transition, efficiency of energy, and increase the resilience of vulnerability groups in the Iraqi society, transformation of the economy, and the pathway for the engagement in the green skills. The cooling principle, one of the important requirements for dignity life for our society, for no leave one behind. Thank you.
I would like to thank Iraq. I give the floor now to Switzerland, followed by Kenya.
Excellencies, co-chairs, honorable ministers, distinguished delegates. It is a pleasure to join you today to share the government of Switzerland's priorities and global engagements on two interconnected challenges, the rise of extreme heat and the surging cooling demand. Switzerland thanks the COP presidency and the UNEP-led Cool Coalition for driving this forward. In particular, as noted, we see here the spirit of Mujiwaro, countries coming together to confront challenges that none can solve alone. In the interest of time, let me just focus on one example on how Switzerland shares its experience. In India, the country with the largest population exposed to extreme heat and projected to become the world's largest cooling market, Switzerland has been engaged for 14 years to advance passive cooling and heat resilience. Today, through the UNEP Be Cool program, we are scaling this work further. In Tamil Nadu, for example, the state has declared heat a disaster, launched a major passive cooling program for schools, and is now preparing to mandate passive cooling standards for construction, including in affordable housing. We are now replicating this model in 4 additional heat-prone states, covering more than 500 million people. What began as a country program is now becoming a regional and south-to-south exchange, with Be Cool expanding to Somalia and soon Nepal. This is what transformative cooperation looks like: science guiding policy, policy guiding investment, and investment building resilience for the most vulnerable. Switzerland will continue to bring scientific rigor, technical expertise, and steadfast partnership to this agenda. Let us seize this moment together to ensure our actions today build a cooler, safer, and more equitable future for all. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Switzerland. We continue now with Kenya. Kenya, you have the floor, and after that, Lagos State.
Excellencies, co-chairs, distinguished delegates, colleagues. Kenya is pleased to join this second Global Cooling Pledge Ministerial. We extend our appreciation to the COP30 and COP28 presidencies and to the UNEP-led Cool Coalition Secretariat for steering this agenda with focus, urgency, and ambition. Excellencies, Kenya arrives here today not only as a founding signatory of the Global Cooling Pledge, but as a country that is helping shape the continental and global direction of this agenda. Earlier this year, Kenya had the honor of hosting the 20th African Ministerial Conference on the Environment. African ministers adopted Decision 20 DEC 4, which prioritizes sustainable cooling as a core pillar of climate adaptation and mitigation. This decision calls for scaling up passive cooling, solar-powered cold chains that protect lives, secure food systems, and strengthen economic resilience in the face of escalating extreme heat. For Kenya, this leadership is grounded in both science and responsibility. We know that safeguarding communities is inseparable from safeguarding development. Extreme heat is already diminishing agricultural yields, straining public health systems, reducing productivity, and reshaping tourism patterns. Acting decisively on sustainable cooling is therefore not only a climate imperative, it is a political and economic priority for Kenya's long-term resilience. Excellencies, Kenya welcomes the establishment of the Intergovernmental Committee on Sustainable Cooling, which provides the political platform needed to drive implementation, strengthen accountability, and scale what works. Kenya stands ready to play an active role in advancing this committee's mandate. We thank the UNEP and the Cool Coalition for the Global Cooling Watch 2025. Its findings underscore that what we have long understood. Passive and nature-based and low-energy and hybrid solutions like fans combined with air conditioners or solar-powered refrigeration must be the foundation of our heat resilience strategies, delivering 2/3 of all possible cooling emission reductions while protecting the most vulnerable. In this spirit, Kenya also welcomes the Belém Communiqué on extreme heat, which reinforces the urgency of coordinated global action to protect communities from heat stress. Kenya applauds the COP30 Presidency for launching the Beat the Heat implementation drive. I'm proud to announce that 12 Kenyan cities and counties have already joined this initiative. With support from the UNEP Cool Coalition and partners, they will map heat risks, expand urban green cover, deploy cool roofs, and embed passive cooling into planning systems, ensuring that national ambition translates into local impact. Cooling is fully integrated in our NDC, our National Cooling Plan, our National Cooling Action Plan. We welcome today's launch of EPIC Deploy by Italy, which will strengthen cold chain technologies and scalable business models vital for food security and agricultural competitiveness. Excellencies, let us recognize the leadership of Brazil and UAE as our co-chairs at the UNEP and the UNEP as hosts of the Cool Coalition Secretariat for providing the governance, science, and implementation pathways needed to accelerate our positive progress. Kenya stands ready politically, technically, and institutionally to continue driving this agenda across Africa and globally. I thank you.
Thank you very much, Kenya. And we have now a few non-national partners also here in the room, which is great. I give the floor to the State of Lagos and then CDRI, followed by Daikin and the Red Cross. And with that, we conclude our round. Please.
Okay. Your Excellencies, the Chair, the Co-Chair, Honorable Ministers, distinguished delegates, ladies and gentlemen, all courtesies duly extended. Lagos State is a subnational in Nigeria and has continued to collaborate with the national government and others on all fronts necessary to ensure the cooling goal is well on course. The state is firm on its formal endorsement for the Global Cooling Pledge, continues to integrate the Cooling Pledge initiatives into our core climate and resilience framework, promotes passive and nature-based cooling solutions, drive green building and energy efficiency standards, commits to action plans and reporting, above all, advocating for more financing and partnership to deliver on the core of Global Cooling Pledge mandates, submitting. The state is leveraging on platforms such as Cooling Coalition and others to exchange best practices, secure equitable financing mechanism, and ensure affordable, energy-efficient cooling is accessible to all our citizens, Lagosians so-called, and particularly in the vulnerable communities. Thank you for your kind attention.
Thank you very much, and thank you also for keeping it short. That is very much appreciated. CDRI, please, followed by Daikin.
Thank you, Chair, Excellencies and distinguished colleagues. It is a privilege to join you today for this important discussion. We commend UNEP for launching this initiative to move from awareness to action on the agenda of adaptation and heat risk mitigation. When heat spikes, critical infrastructure systems are the first to feel the strain. Power grids falter, water networks dry up, transport slows, schools and hospitals, the backbone of our communities, struggle to deliver essential services. Heat resilience must be built into the design, operation, and maintenance of critical infrastructure systems to minimize failures, contain costs, and protect lives and livelihoods. This is especially vital for children, outdoor workers, and frontline professionals. At CDRI, the Coalition for Disaster Resilient Infrastructure, we are working with cities, practitioners, and policymakers to make infrastructure systems more adaptive to climate extremes. We are supporting cities to confront the twin challenges of extreme heat and drought with a focus on practical, locally owned solutions that deliver safety and reliability when it matters the most. Together with our partners, we've developed a suite of sectoral guidance tools that translate the science into real-world action, including a framework for safe design and operations of public transit under heat stress, heat-smart schools guidelines, cooling shelter guidelines, heat resilience guidelines for power utilities. CDRI's Global Infrastructure Risk Index currently models drought risk to water systems. We are now expanding it to capture extreme heat and its consequences for power, transport, and other critical infrastructure globally. And through our upcoming Earth Observation for DRR in South Asia program, we will include extreme heat as a core hazard for technical assistance and capacity building for public and private agencies. CDRI can bring a sectoral and systems lens and complement UNEP's powerful public advocacy with practical pathways for implementation. For example, we can align Beat the Heat's messaging with sector-specific playbooks for power, water, transport, and schools. We can integrate GIRI's heat risk analytics and Earth observation-based data into decision support dashboards for cities and countries. We can make schools and public transport the first universal entry points under the campaign with city-level heat performance standards that are auditable and replicable. And we can help standardize heat-resilient design criteria and operations and maintenance benchmarks. Looking ahead, together, we can turn heat awareness into heat-proof infrastructure systems. We could help countries move from campaigns to construction, from awareness to action, ensuring that the next generation of infrastructure and essential services is safer, more reliable, and more affordable as global temperatures rise. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Thank you, CDI. The floor is with Daikin, followed by the Red Cross.
Thank you very much. I'm really honored to be here and then explain our in progress in line with Global Cooling Pledge. I'm from Daikin Industries, headquartered in Japan. As a global manufacturer of air conditioners and heat pumps, we consider providing sustainable cooling a core responsibility to support safe, healthy, and comfortable living environments. In line with the Global Cooling Pledge, our efforts center on 3 areas. Number 1, expanding high-efficiency products and solutions. Number 2, promoting a shift from combustion heating to heat pumps. And number 3, advancing life cycle approaches, including refrigerant management and circularity across the value chain. To illustrate our recent progress with a clear quantitative example, we looked at the net CO2 emission reductions as an indicative measure. In 2024, we achieved a 27% reduction in our net CO2 emissions compared with our BAU scenario based on 2019 base year, largely through wider use of inverter energy-efficient technology and lower GWP refrigerants. This example shows how technological innovation can deliver tangible climate benefits. But no company can achieve sustainable cooling alone. As Japanese government explained, we could successfully work on a couple of projects with great support of Japanese government. As such, strengthened collaboration among industry, governments, and partners is essential to scale up efficient and climate-friendly cooling, support national climate goals, and ensure comfort and safety for millions of people. Finally, at the Japan Pavilion, as Japanese government explained again, we are exhibiting an integrated temperature and humidity optimization control system combining air conditioners with energy recovery ventilators, delivering significant energy savings. If you have time, we would be very pleased to welcome you to our booth. Thank you very much.
I thank Daikin, and the last speaker on my list is the Red Cross, please. You have the floor, sir.
Thank you, Mr. Chairman, and good evening, Your Excellencies. The Red Cross Red Crescent Climate Center is really privileged to be part of this ministerial roundtable dialogue. Along with the International Federation of the Red Cross Red Crescent Societies and our 194 national Red Cross Red Crescent Societies from around the world, we have recognized heat to be an overwhelming movement-wide priority and are undertaking a range of actions to enhance heat resilience. This includes launching the Beat the Heat campaign, separate from the Beat the Heat campaign at this COP, at COP29, which aims to support 100 million people with resilience-building actions across 100 cities and aims to raise 500 million Swiss francs for heat resilience initiatives across the world. Number 2, in June every year, the Global Red Cross movement celebrates Heat Action Day, where hundreds and thousands of our volunteers mobilize to raise awareness of the scourge of heat and push the public and private sector to take this issue a lot more seriously. Number 3, we are accelerating action to support early warning systems for heat, particularly across urban contexts in the global south. as part of our contribution to the Early Warning for All initiative. Number 4, we are undertaking a range of heat action planning exercises with city governments and universities across the world, ensuring that we co-create contextually relevant solutions for tackling heat across the global south. And number 5, we are proud members of the World Weather Attribution Alliance, where we study the degree to which greenhouse gas emissions are contributing to making heat waves a lot worse. Overall, we offer a comprehensive package of solutions for tackling heat and applaud the efforts in this room to support cooling and battle heat. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much to the Red Cross, and with that we have completed our round of speakers. I would like to thank all speakers for their statements, their interventions, their comments. I think it was very rich. I'm handing it back now to the co-chairs, and I hand it back with an apology that I have failed in my job, which was to finish the session at 6 o'clock. We are 23 minutes over time. My apologies to you.
No problem, Martin. And Excellencies, thank you all for your active participation and thoughtful contributions. And before closing today, it's my pleasure to invite Excellency Dr. Ama Al-Darak, Minister of Climate Change from the Emirates, to deliver her closing remarks.
Thank you, Adalberto, and thank you, Martin, for trying your best to conclude this ministerial as much as possible within the time frame that you had. And so when we come now to an end for what Martin called the square round table, the ministerial square table on the global cooling pledge, allow me on behalf of the UAE to thank everyone and appreciate all the commitments that has been expressed in your statements. And thank you as well for staying this late with us. This spirit of collaboration, I think, is what we're looking for. So in our meeting today, we've seen and we've shown that the global cooling pledge is moving from commitments to action. And this is what this conversation has been about. We've heard from so many countries that they are working on integrating the cooling into NDCs, into NAPs, and into their national cooling action plans, and expanding access and turning all of this ambition into reality. At this COP, we mark an important milestone, so let us keep this alive, the spirit of cooperation among us, and let us use the IGCC and the EPIC facility to accelerate the deployment of the projects on the ground. On behalf of the UAE, allow me to thank my co-chair Brazil, the COP presidency, and the colleagues at the UNEP-led Cool Coalition for their leadership, and to all signatories to this pledge and partners that are going to continue to put action on the ground to translate this ambition into reality. So thank you again.
Thank you, Excellency Al-Darak, for your compelling reflections, and your remarks remind us how vital sustained leadership and partnership are important as driving the global cooling pledge forward. And around this table, we heard diverse voices showing how countries are scaling up their plans, incorporating cooling the NDCs, and that connection makes this effort to continue. And as we bring the signature countries and cities and partners together, as we had today, we create the space where cooperation becomes action. And by endorsing the Belém Communiqué, we have shown how shared challenge can unite us, turning commitment into collective strength. This is the spirit of solidarity that gives the Global Cooling Pledge its true power. Tomorrow, on the 19th, from 12:30 to 2 o'clock, we plan to meet the partners for the acceleration plan of Beat the Heat at the Action Agenda 4. So we'll be honored to see all of you there to discuss next steps for the implementation. I also call more countries to join the Beat the Heat, to stand with those who are already leading and ensuring that the communities can be safe from the rising heat alone. And in closing, I hope Belém is remembered not only as a host of COP30, but as a place where we had a clear roadmap for implementation and have chosen to act together to cool our planet, protect our people, and show that cooperation remains our strongest form of climate leadership. Thank you. And now we take a quick family picture with the ones that survived until now. Thank you.